This is it then, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, it's time to put an end to this now. To the miserable curse that's been plaguing Mr. Natsume. To everything! And in my own small way, I shall do everything I can to help you. I always appreciate your help, Mr. Sato. Suffering Soseki selfishly sidelined! Good morning to you too, Mr. Natsume. Good morning! Good morning, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire! Listen to you two, chatting away happily as if the main player of today's trial isn't here! Why would you do that? Why? Oh dear, we didn't mean to cause any offense, Mr. Natsume. I thought perhaps that because you had your eyes shut so tightly, you were meditating, finding inner calm. It seemed wrong to disturb you. I was waiting! What's the matter, Mr. Natsume? You seem different somehow today. Why, naturally, it's because I've attained spiritual enlightenment. The path of literature, you see, is the journey to discover one's own death. Or such like. That's the sort of morning conversation I was hoping for. That's why I had my eyes shut. I missed the signs, I'm afraid. Somehow, you'll have to forgive me. You mustn't talk of your path leading to your death, Mr. Natsume. That was just an example! Oh yes, there it is, in a calm. You barely came to see me at all yesterday. I was sure you'd abandon me and return to our beautiful long-lost homeland. We've not even been in Great Britain a week yet. Yes, well, anyway, I intend to settle everything straight in court today. I'm determined to uncover the truth. I've actually reached an important decision myself. What sort of decision? I shall fill you in after the trial. Alright. It would seem Mrs. Sholmes isn't coming today after all. It's a very clever message, I think. My dear fellows, you must win this battle on your own merits. It's a very clear message, I think. And he's overslept again. The great detective, our arch nemesis. Long may he stay away, if you ask me. Defendant and your legal representative. The trial is about to begin. Make your way into the courtroom immediately. Today, once again, we face the Reaper. And when the Reaper stands for the prosecution, the defendant's fate is sealed. I don't believe in that legend any more than I believe in Soseki-san's curse. The truth is hidden here somewhere, and I won't let it escape me. I have to keep believing in my client, and keep fighting to the very end. That's all. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. Yes, the defense is ready. Very good. And now I call upon the 6 ladies and gentlemen of the jury, chosen by lot to represent the will of the people in this trial, Are you ready to proceed? Absolutely! Justice will be done, you mark my words! I feel obliged to say, I feel especially ruthless on days when my hat is sitting just right. Oh, okay. Oh, well, I wonder if you could adjust that hat for me. And please, be as ruthless as you like. Thieves deserve to die, if you ask me. Especially gas thieves. I've no sympathy for the man at all. Look, I said it yesterday and I'll say it again now. I don't have time for this. I've got my own problems. Oh, may the Lord show us all the light here. Lead his flock to a righteous verdict again today. Now, Lord von Zeeks, what can you tell us? The prosecution's report, please, for the court. In relation to the theory expounded by the defense yesterday regarding the defendant's tea. So it does have the results. Before the prosecution delivers the black news about the black tea belonging to the blackguard in the dock, pray, allow me a moment to savour a liquid of more sanguine hue. In fact, I'll defer to the good detective for the report. Here's to you, Inspector. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. As indicated by the defense, we found a bar of soap just outside the victim's window in the snow. And there was indeed a frozen reddish liquid in a little depression on the top of it. Yes, that's the tea. That's what Mr. Nutsmere brought with him that night. Well, the brains of the yard analysed it, and yes, you're right. It was tea. And there wasn't a trace of strychnine or any other toxic substance in it. No poison at all. In other words, the tea that the defendant brought with him to the victim's room is innocent. It's in the clear. What a revelation! As I suspected. This makes it quite clear. The defendant, Mr. Soseki Nutsmere, is blameless here. My learned friend is jumping to conclusions again. A typical Nipponese reaction. What? Yes, it's true. No poison was found in the few drops of liquid recovered from the soap in the window ledge. But, what logic is that? Would you take a drop from the Thames and conclude that the water in the ocean isn't salty? My word! The water in the ocean is extremely salty, Counsel. Exactly. Unfit for drinking. Just as the victim's tea was on the night in question, as the court has already heard. Bitter was the precise word from the lips of Mr. William Shamsby, whom the prosecution now calls back to the stand. Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's request. Mr. Shamsby. Yes, sounds like we're going to have another confrontation with our theatrical friend. Bailiff, show Mr. Shamsby to the stand! Mr. William Shamsby, the victim of this despicable crime. Oh heaven! Oh hell! Do you command me to remember? Forsooth, 'twas I, Shamsby, did have a bellyful of the foul fluid given in mine innocence. Yes, but as was revealed in yesterday's proceedings, the witness is not as innocent as we had perhaps first been led to believe. By using bars of soap such as this, he's been stealing gas from the supply company, yes. Oh, one may smile and be a villain. Forsooth, 'twas I, Shamsby, did have a roomful of the sweet fuel given. That's right, fellow jurors, don't forget, this man is a rotten thief. I haven't forgotten. Kept all that about the ice coins a tidy secret, didn't you? Should have owned up sooner. Arrest him, I say! Arrest him at once! And let him feel the sting in my tail! Oh, indeed! By dint of vile and cowardly means have I plotted to further mine own ends, I confess. Thou wouldst not pardon my sins, of that I am sure. If you acknowledge your wrongdoing, what exactly are you doing here? Cowards die many times before their deaths. For cowards such as I, death be well deserved. But would that a still greater crime passive unpunished? For lo, the hairy-faced gentleman of farther east than Verona did contrive to poison me. But there was no poison in the tea found in your room. The police have attested to that. What the defense would assert as an inconsistency will quickly be cleared up by the witness's testimony. Is that not so, Mr. Shamsby? Verily, my liege, I will most gladly speak. Very well, let the witness testify to explain this inconsistency. Tell the court why it is that poison apparently entered your body, though none was found in the tea. The Japanese man did come to my chamber with tea brewed in a pot. 'Twas in my cup alone that the wicked miscreant secretly poured his wicked poison. Whilst feigning distraction in our debate, ne'er did a drop of his own drink pass his lips. When he departed by and by, I did use the tea that remained in his cup to make my coins of ice. Thus 'tis no surprise that the poison be not found in the tea I did pour into the moulds of soap. The poison was slipped into the cup after the tea had been poured. The normal way for poison to be administered, in my experience. Quite. Otherwise it would be disastrous if the poisoner were to mix up the cups, for instance. But no poison bottle was found at the scene. Because, quite simply, the Nipponese took the bottle back to his own room. The absence of a vessel containing the poison only becomes problematic when considering suicide. Oh, I knew that. But now it should be perfectly clear. A bar or two of cheap soap is wholly insufficient to wash the deep stains of guilt from the accused's hands. Sirs, madams, 'tis true that I, Shamsby, be a common thief of gas. What? What? Listen here, ladies and gentlemen. Wherefore would I lie? Verily, I have no cause. I have naught to lose. Well, I do declare. Thank you for your testimony, witness. Counsel, proceed with the cross-examination. Yes, my lord. When did he have the opportunity? Are you saying that you saw the moment when the poison was added to your tea? To have witnessed the act and then drank the tea? How That does describe the actions of a fool. Quite so, quite so. But no one likes going thirsty, do they? Sooner would I die quenched than parched. Would I have the choice? Actually, on the night in question, the water main was frozen, I believe, wasn't it? Were it not for the tea and soothe, I would sooner have died frozen than quenched or parched. Right. No ice coins means no heating. The witness have had more than one brush with death on the night in question, it would seem. Remind the court, Mr. Shamsby, as to whether the accused drank any of the tea which he brought with him. The greatest of pleasure, my liege. Was feigning distraction in our debate.
Hold it!
But the teacup Mr. Nutsmith drank from was found completely empty at the scene. Let's not forget that the defendant's maxim, drink tea while it's hot. Is that going to fly in court? I did gulp from the poisoned cup that night, and in mine agony did I writhe uncontrolled. Fits of pain I did knock the fellow's cup and his contents, built as blood from a gaping wound, methinks. Though certainly, 'twas after I made the coins of ice from his tea. An upset cup was found on the table that the victim was slumped over. There was no contradiction here. It's true, there was no tea left in either cup that we found at the scene. Still, something about this statement is troubling me. Yes, of course, I know what it is. It's Mr. Nutsmith's wise drink tea while it's hot maxim, isn't it? No, I'm not sure that's it. Thank you, witness. Now reiterate for the court what it is that occupied you after your guest had left and before you drank your tea. When he departed by and by, hold on a second. Oh, the lip marks!
Objection!
You claim that Mr. Nutsmith didn't drink a drop of tea on the night in question. But that's impossible. How, chop logic? What is this, you dog-clad fiend? The two cups from the scene, one used by the victim and the other by the defendant, have a clear difference between them. One that represents incontrovertible proof. Incontrovertible? What difference? Look at the inside of the cups. Just here, there's a clearly visible ring. Yes, a tea ring. Commonplace enough. Indeed, such stains occur all too readily when one leaves tea in the cup for a while. And yet, Mr. Nutsmith's cup has no such ring. Good Lord, you're right. It's completely clean. That too, I guess. And prithee, sir, what makest thou of it? Exactly what Mr. Nutsmith told the court yesterday. The Japanese saying he quoted. Drink tea while it's hot. That's right, yes. The jittery Mr. Nutsmith was true to his usual self that night and drank his tea in no time. Ah! If, as you claim in your testimony, he didn't touch a drop of his tea, a ring would have developed on the inside of his cup as well after the several hours the tea was left standing. In short, Mr. Shamsby, you clearly lied to the court.
Objection!
As a rule, I fill my hallowed chalice up to 7 times during any one trial. You might want to keep that information to yourself. Yet on occasion, tedium distracts me and I pour more times than I intended until the bottle is dry. Your drinking habits are fascinating but irrelevant. On the contrary, they illustrate the fickleness of human memory. To William Shakespeare. Yes, my liege. Though you previously stated that you made the coins of ice from the leftover tea in the accused's cup, could it be that you were perhaps mistaken? Eh? Could it be that... Yes. Perhaps there was some tea remaining in the small teapot left at the scene. A fact that had vanished from your memory until now. Faith, my liege, thou art a magician. For verily, 'tis as though thou hast seen with thine own eyes that night. What? Forsooth, I was mistook. I did plan to use tea from the Japanese fellow's cup, but lo, when I looked, 'twas empty. Thus did I use the dregs that festered in the teapot, as my liege did suggest.
Objection!
You've just suddenly remembered now that you made a mistake before? Are we supposed to believe that?
Objection!
People's memories are imperfect, my learned friend, which is why we rely on evidence instead. And that worked out so well for you in case 3. But in any case, it makes no difference. The victim's most recent testimony tells us 2 things of note. Firstly, that the poison was poured into the victim's teacup only. And secondly, that this spoiled cup was not the source of the insipid ice coins that have bewitched this court. The prosecution makes a fine summary of the facts. Furthermore, that testimony remains valid and in full support of the established facts. In other words, the inconsistency claimed by the defense simply does not exist. No. What does this mean then? I do declare it means there's no issue with the gas thief's testimony. Apart from the bit about thieving gas, obviously. My lords, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I do solemnly swear, after I did dine at Grubb's Grubbery Ale House that night, naught did pass my lips but the black tea given me by the Japanese, whose back be stooped as low as death. And on what did you dine, sir? Why, I did partake of my favourites. A broth as would be called soup, and leaf as would be called salad. As insalubrious a menu as the established where it was served. But you gods will give us some faults to make us men. Willingly would I suffer what punishment 'tis seen fit to serve a wicked thief of gas. But I pray you wise and noble fellows, never forget the simple truth. That be one thing, and this be another. Jurors all, your humble servant Shakespeare doth entreat you, punish the Japanese fellow for his sins. Lord! If I may speak, my lord. Yes, Mr. Foreman. I believe we may have been duped by that rotten defense lawyer. By me? I do declare you may be right. We all know the waif there was making coins of ice to keep himself warm. But this lawyer lad says if he's stealing gas, he deserves a dose of poison, eh? He's been leading us the garden path, that's what he's been doing. I really never said anything like that. What we just heard from the victim there has opened our eyes again. But what we just heard from the victim there has opened our eyes again. We've reached a decision this time, and we won't be swayed from it. Sure. The court acknowledges the position of the jury foreman and will duly hear the jury's findings. No! You can't yet! Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your decisions now.
Guilty. 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 Guilty.
I hereby declare the jury to be in one accord. Oh, happy day! How is this happening? My lord, the defense asserts its right to carry out a summation examination. Very well, the court upholds the defense's right. Typical. My learned friend is unable to accept the obvious truth. This trial will therefore enter its second summation examination immediately. Jurors, the court calls upon each of you to state the grounds upon which you find the defendant guilty. I'm a man of logic, me, and having considered all the evidence, the defendant must logically be guilty. I do agree that gas is far too expensive. I can quite understand why the man would want to avoid paying. You're encouraging it? The stuff explodes and it can poison you. It's absolutely lethal, gas is. Gas doesn't come for free. It costs a fortune to deliver it around the city and maintain the pipes. Truth be told, the tea my wife serves for me is a little sketchy at times. If nothing else passed the victim's lips that night, there's no other explanation, is there? I do feel that perhaps personal opinion about gas and its supply has influenced decisions somewhat. But never mind. No, you really should mind! The truth is, our counter-argument wasn't as unassailable as we'd hoped. Mr. Shampsby was poisoned. There can't be no doubt of that. Then how are we supposed to turn this around? I think we need to establish the method by which Mr. Shampsby was actually poisoned. Our only hope is to demonstrate that to the court incontrovertibly. But that's surely almost impossible at this stage. If we don't manage it though, Mr. Nutsamere will be found guilty. No delays, counsel. Proceed with the summation examination. All the evidence, you say? That's right. And there's no room for doubt. It's all pointing at that Japanese man with the big mustache. Says the Englishman with the bigger mustache. Which means we need to show the man some new evidence to make him change his mind. If only we had that kind of evidence. Don't worry, the summation examination has barely started, really. Perhaps there'll be a shift in the situation that shows an existing piece of evidence in a new light. Let's hope so. To start with, though, I need to find some way out of this deadlock.
Hold it!
This isn't the time or place to be discussing the price of gas, madam. But really, think of the injustice. Air is a gas, and air is free. Why should Altamont gas cost money? It makes my blood boil. I can feel myself becoming more ruthless than ever. This isn't the time or the place to be ruthless either. If I might interject here. Yes, madam? It seems my fellow juror takes issue with the price of our company gas. It seems my fellow juror takes issue with the price our company charges for gas. But it's precisely because of thieves like this man that the cost goes up. Oh, what a beastly man. That unkempt mustache, those hunched shoulders, poisoning tea and stealing gas. Utterly unforgivable. Mr. Nutsmere isn't the one who's been stealing gas, ma'am. I'll thank you not to go adding on more crimes. Mr. Nutsmere hasn't been poisoning tea either. Well, anyway, I've quite made up my mind. This is made up as the price of gas. The stuff explodes.
Hold it!
Could we please talk about the poison rather than the gas, do you think, sir? Well, if you like. I mean, to be honest, I take poison over gas every time. You take poison. Morbid. What I mean is, poison can only poison you. It doesn't explode, does it? Goodness me, what are you talking about? Set him straight, please, lawyer man! Well, it's certainly true that poison isn't prone to exploding. But I think you'll find poison also can't light or heat up a room. You're right! I hadn't considered that at all! Young lawyer man. Yes? You have a good head on your shoulders. We could use someone like you as our company's legal representative. Ooh. Well, I wasn't expecting to pick up more business in the middle of a trial, that's for sure. Anyway, the point is, I haven't had the best experience with gas companies in the past.
Hold it!
Can we please refrain from all this talk of gas? There's an all-out attack underway here, in case you hadn't noticed, against my company's gas. And I'm supposed to sit here and take it, am I? I don't think so! She's really buzzing now. All I've heard about our wonderful fuel is explosions and poisonings. What about electricity, What about getting electrocuted? What about that? A little explosion here and there is nothing in comparison. Any explosion could hardly be described as nothing, madam. Nevertheless, the theft of your gas is deplorable. My point exactly, but the gas thieves aren't even the worst of our enemies. We have far more devious reprobates to contend with on our daily basis, you know. More devious? Who, madam? Other gas companies, of course. Other gas companies? What I was expecting? We generate gas and we deliver it to our customers fair and square. Indeed, nobody is questioning that matter. Altamont is an exemplary gas company. But there are other unscrupulous gas companies here in London that don't even have any gas at all. What? But if they don't have any gas, how do they go about selling it to people? You wouldn't think it possible, would you? But they steal our gas, you see, and sell that. They steal your gas. How on earth is such a thing possible? Gas companies like ours deliver gas to people's homes via a network of pipes. But these devious reprobates secretly disconnect our pipes and divert our gas into their own rotten pipes. Then they make a contract with our households supplied by those pipes and take money for the precious gas that's rightfully ours without us even knowing. They're diverting gas into their own pipes illegally. What a brazen form of theft! When we visit customers' houses to collect the money from their meters, we always have to check whether or not one of these devious companies has been up to its tricks.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say about that, juror number 3? Oh, golly, you mean me? I'm terribly sorry. I was just thinking to myself. I really did catch him off guard there. Thinking about what the lady next to you was saying, correct? Well, yes. I just got a little riled up about her recently, you see. Go on. An Altamont gas worker visited my house the other day to investigate the pipe work. We need to ask you for your cooperation while we carry out a secret check of your property, sir, the fellow said. So I let him in. Do you know what he did? I'm afraid I have no idea. Please tell us. He proceeded to take one of my lights off the wall. Then he grabbed the exposed mouth of the pipe and started blowing into it. What do you think you're doing, young man? You're giving away company secrets here. Please, everyone knows. It was nearly the death of me, I can tell you. What do you mean? I'll explain if you don't mind. As I said before, these unscrupulous other gas companies connect their customers to our pipe network. Yes, but how does blowing into the pipes come into it? Obviously, there's gas in the pipes, and it's at a fairly low pressure. By blowing air through the pipe, you can make the pressure drop temporarily. And if you do that, any lights connected to the same point will flicker for a moment. See, in other words, if upon blowing into the pipe, the lights of an adjacent property that has no contract with your company flicker, you can know that these devious scoundrels have been meddling with the pipes. Exactly, my lord. That's it in a nutshell. It's the reason why we have teams of workers going around neighborhoods to investigate which lights flicker. The trouble is, the particular worker who came to my house didn't know the strength of his own breath. He blew down the pipe with all his might, and you can guess what happened, can't you? Well, if you blew hard, then... You mean... That's right, the lights didn't just flicker, they went out, along with the stove. Gas started pouring into the house. What a disaster. The gas supply must have been interrupted briefly because the man blew too hard, so the flames went out. I'm afraid I yelled at the fella. Are you trying to kill us all? I said. So by disconnecting a lamp and blowing into the exposed gas pipe, it's possible to extinguish lamps and stoves connected to the same network of pipes. And then when the gas starts flowing again, it just silently seeps into the room. It's another order. I think perhaps. Yes, this is almost certainly the clue that we've been hoping for. Juror number 3, the defense requests that you amend your statement to include that information. Oh, well, if you like. I don't mind. Well, I do! That's our company's secret method of identifying the rogues that try to diddle us. Like I said, madam, it's widely known already. Very well, juror number 3. You will amend your statement. Yes, my lord. Although I'm not really sure what the point of all this is. Blow too hard into a gas pipe and you extinguish everything in the house. And then you're in real trouble. I'm not sure what to pick this against.
Hold it!
What the hell is this all about? You mean it's poisoned? That's right. It's happened a tiny few times now. It's most troubling indeed. It's always days like this one where I don't get any wages. I get in at tea time, see? And I see her doing it. My wife. She gets that devilish look on her face. She slips some white powder into my cup. And you drink it anyway. I was brought up Popeye was. If someone gives you a cup, you drink it. And what happened to you? What did it taste like? It's god awful, believe you me. Salty as hell. And I think perhaps what your wife put in your tea was salt. No! So she doesn't even care enough to poison me properly, eh? Unbelievable! Let's move on, please. Should we I'm gonna try it. Like, what if Shamsby was blowing into the thing on?
Objection!
These two statements clearly contradict each other. Gracious! To whose statements do you refer, counsel? Juror number 6. Did you hear what juror number 3 just said? What? Yes, of course. I heard him mumbling about something or other. There is another explanation here, I believe. Something besides Mr. Nutsmith's he did, in a matter of speaking. Past the victim's lips on the night in question. Speaking of gas, what explanation? I wonder, did the police check the mouth of the gas pipe feeding the wall right at the scene to see if there were any traces of poison there? I was curious to see what your floundering would result in this time. But the mouth of a gas pipe. Scotland Yard have enough to do without exploring such irrelevance. What a piece of work is a man. What are you trying to say, Mr. Shamsby? I like how we just have our back turned to him. What speakest thou? Prithee, is it not strange and strange? That is what I say to thee, sir. I thought I'd been quite clear, but let me put it another way. The strychnine could have been on the mouth of the gas pipe that feeds the wall lamp in your room. And that's how the poison came to enter your body. Good Lord! Are they tasty then, gas pipes? Is that what he's saying?
Or is the gentleman's suggestion that the poor man was so desperately hungry he tried to fill his belly with gas?
Perhaps no actress would perform a kiss scene with him,
For shame, madam, speaking thy fancy.
I assure you, I'm not such a buffoon that I have to kiss pipes.
Objection!
This is no summation examination. This is a farce. The prosecution will not stand for any more of my learned Nipponese friend's conjecture. To begin with, the lamp in the victim's room is high on the wall, In order to have placed his lips to the pipe that feeds it, he would have had to be a contortionist. These are empty assertions. There's no plausible proof that the man did as you say. It's true. I have no proof that Mr. Shamspeare put his lips to the pipe. However, I can say with some certainty that on multiple occasions, Mr. Shamspeare had been doing something in front of that lamp on his wall. And I have evidence to prove it. Alright, you've got our attention, lad. I'd like to see how you can be so sure of yourself. So would I. Let's see this evidence then. Now that I've got the jury's ear, I need to make this opportunity count. This is the proof that time and time again Mr. Shamspeare stood in front of his gas lamp. And I'm pretty sure you can't make this up.
Take that!
What the? And these are... what are they called? Yes, skin prints that we found at the scene. Skin Prints Council? I've never heard of such things. The Justice Ministry is currently assessing whether or not to permit fingerprints as evidence in court, however. My lord, this is an exciting new forensic technique developed by the great detective, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. It reveals all of the places that Mr. Shamspeare's touched in his room. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it's black magic, isn't it? Well, if anyone could invent something like this, it's that great Sholmes fellow, that's for sure. I agree. This month's edition of Engineering Films was quite fascinating. We found skin prints in many places that you would expect. On the table, on the costumes. However, Mr. Shamspeare also happens to have been touching some very unexpected places in his room. For example, here, around the hanging picture there. Indeed, multiple handprints appear to be visible. Well, I wonder, could he have been appreciating the artwork, perhaps? At first, my colleagues and I thought the same. However, imagine standing with your hands where those prints are, and you find yourself directly in front of... Ah! I don't believe it! The gas lamp! Though the reason why isn't immediately obvious. It's clear that Mr. Shamspeare has regularly been standing with his hands to the wall in front of that lamp. Right, what have you been up to, you nut? I asked the court to recall juror number 4's earlier statement. Me? What did I say? You said that blowing into a gas pipe would make the lights in the entire building flicker. And now, if you'll recall juror number 3's statement... What? Me now? When the gas worker who visited his home blew too much force into the pipe, it caused all the lights in the gas stove to go out, and gas to start leaking into the rooms. Obviously, that incident was an accident. However, the simple fact is, if Mr. Shamspeare were to have blown hard into the gas pipe here in this room, he could have extinguished every other light and gas stove in the building at will. Crikey! Are you suggesting that the man purposefully caused the gas to...
Objection!
I also acknowledge that the prosecution is required to remain silent during a summation examination. I must toast my learned friend's utter disregard for the letter of the law. What is the meaning of this, Lord von Zieks? This curious photograph, or whatever it is, presented by the defense, the so-called skin prints. Clearly, that cannot be accepted as any form of usable evidence in this case.
exciting new forensic technique developed by a great detective.
It's nothing. A mere toy developed by an amateur sleuth with too much time on his hands. Certainly, even research of this nature by the esteemed Mr. Sholmes cannot be recognized by the court as formal evidence. But, please, my lord, if I may, Mr. Soto, it's not the defense's intention to submit the skin prints as formal evidence. We merely wish to present the results of the great detective's investigation of the scene as a tool by which to explain a possibility to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. And if the trial were to come to an end now, we should never learn the truth behind this mysterious handprints that everyone has now seen. I don't believe we can allow that to happen, and I'm sure the jurors will agree. You're right. Whether those strange handprints are a significant clue or not, it's down to us to decide. Juror number 3.
Oh yes, I do declare the great detective's investigation results sound absolutely fascinating. Now I want to hear what that shady actor fellow has to say about those shady handprints.
What's the matter with you two? That was foolhardy.
Well, I did say it, didn't I? I don't like to break a promise.
No, wait! You heard his lordship. It's not fair dinkum evidence.
Oh, well done, Mr. Nottahoodle.
Just one more juror changes his or her mind.
Mr. Nutsmith's trial will have to continue.
Thank you, Mr. Suttle. I couldn't have done it without you.
No, it was you who identified the clue after all. This is very much your success.
Why, Mr. Shamsby? You seem to be losing your composure.
Just one more juror, Mr. Nottahoodle. I can do it.
Very well. Continue, counsel.
I'm very interested in the result of this great detective's investigation at the scene.
We're the ones who decide if the evidence is worthy of consideration or not. Us, the jury. I don't believe in breaking promises. We can't come to a decision while so much is up in the air. Don't think that's going to help. Having considered all the evidence, is any of this relevant? All the evidence, you say? It's right. There's no room for doubt. It's all pointing... But the defense just demonstrated another possible explanation for the events on the night in question. What do you make of that? What, your so-called skin prints? It's an exciting new forensic investigation technique developed by the great detective himself. The numerous handprints on the wall are clearly out of the ordinary. And if Mr. Shamsby had indeed put his mouth to the gas pipe on the night in question, it it can't be denied that there's a possibility that's where the poison was. Well, yes, I won't deny that that's playing on my mind. But as the prosecution rightly says, we should pay no heed to unacceptable forms of evidence. Besides, yes, even if the fellow has been up to some mischief with the gas pipe dozens of times before, doesn't mean he got up to the same shenanigans on the night in question, does it? If you can't make your case better than that, I'm afraid I can't change my stance.
You do make a valid point, sir.
What?
That's true. Perhaps I was a little hasty.
No, wait! Look, you've got your chance here, haven't you? So it's time to prove your theory. If you and your Japanese cohorts can, that is. Just leave our nationality out of this, please.
So not a hold on. We can't substantiate our position. I'm afraid the jurors that change their minds before may very well change them back. What can I do? Is there any more proof I can give here?
Let's see. What else do we need explaining? They're not going to accept that. Sure, I don't think we have anything. Can I show that Mr. Shamsby really did blow the gas pipe on the night in question? Supporting testimony. I mean, I think Natsume said something about... Oh, I guess we're going with this? I think Natsume said something. No, truth, I don't have evidence to support my theory. However, there is witness testimony that substantiates it. What's that? Testimony? This is incredible! Whose testimony?
Yes, it's all connected. Everything is linked. The person whose testimony revealed details about the gas in the Garuda residence that night. Namely...
Take that!
Obviously, I'm talking about the defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume himself. The defendant! At the very beginning of the proceedings here in court yesterday, Mr. Natsume said the following. My lodgings! There's been a whole series of strange happenings in my lodgings! Even on that fateful night it happened, when I returned from Mr. Shamsby's room. I lit my gas stove and climbed into bed, but before long, the stove went out, and somebody tried to kill me! On the night in question, the gas in the defendant's room went out. So I asked the court, was that a mere coincidence or not? Good golly! So the Shamsby fellow blew into the gas pipe to make the man's stove go out on purpose. Now hold your horses there. Why would he do that for? Seems like he has his reasons. Mr. Foreman? What the? What is it, man? I cannot allow judgment to be passed whilst this doubt remains. It's true that I don't have conclusive evidence yet. However, you must surely agree there's more to this case than meets the eye. Ah! Fair enough. Like I said at the outset, I'm a man of logic, first and foremost. It's 4 jurors leaning towards not guilty, my lord. We've overturned the decision. Therefore, the defense calls for the trial to continue. As the defense has rightfully indicated, Summation examination has concluded with a majority of jurors altering their decisions. 2 jury members now call not guilty, 4 not guilty. Therefore, the jury's opinion is conflicted, and, in accordance with the law of this land, I hereby order the continuation of this trial. Mr. William Shampspeare.
My lord, how can thy humble Shampspeare serve thee?
What say you in response to the various revelations made during the summation examination?
So God mend me, I do solemnly swear. I recall aught of either the lamp or the pipe.
Well, your handprints have made a tiny mess all over the wall there. How do you explain that, eh? I am done with this. The dignity of this great courtroom has been sullied enough already. Juror number 5. Me! As I went to some pains to point out already, a print from the self-professed detective's toy has no place in a British court of law. As such, whether or not this man did indeed stand before the gas lamp with his hands against the wall remains at this time unestablished conjecture. You would all do well to remember that.
Objection!
But the prosecution must concede that it would be extremely simple to verify. Just order the mouth of the gas and feeding that lamp in Mr. Shampspeare's room to be examined. If there are traces of poison there...
Objection!
What appears to be extremely simple is my Nipponese friend's mind. You will recall that in order to check for the presence of poison in the tea, some remnants of the tea were required. Yes? Therefore, it shouldn't be beyond your wit to imagine that even if poison were to be spread on the pipe, it would have completely evaporated by now, making any analysis impossible.
I didn't think of that.
In any case, counsel, I fail to see what could possibly have motivated the man to do as you describe. Why on earth would this fellow have wanted to blow air into the gas pipework where he lived? There's only one possibility that I can think of. That is,
to use the leaking gas pipe to commit murder. Order! Counsel! Precisely whose life do you propose this man was plotting to end?
The answer couldn't be simpler. Now we've unraveled the mystery this far. Mr. Shampspeare wanted to end the life of...
Take that!
If the gas lamp were to go out, it would be noticed immediately, of course. But a gas stove, on the other hand, could be silently extinguished by the killer without anyone noticing. I live around those parts myself, so I know what it's like. I can tell you, trying to sleep without the stove lit is pretty much suicide. You'd freeze to death in no time. Mr. Garrett, the landlord, has a large fireplace in his part of the residence on the top floor. In other words, it wasn't the landlord, but a fellow lodger whose life Mr. Shampspeare was trying to end.
Outrageous!
I'm talking, of course, about the defendant. Mr. Natsume isn't the villain in this case.
He's the victim this man was trying to murder! Good gracious!
Objection!
The accused is actually the aggrieved. Interesting. However, the fundamental facts of the case remain unchanged. Namely, that the accused is the aggressor here. What? How can you still claim that? Let us indulge in your fantasies for a moment and assume that there was indeed poison on the mouth of the gas pipe. The question that then arises is who put it there? Who did put it there? The only logical conclusion is that the person responsible was aware of this man's trickery with the gas supply and his intent to kill. Yes, that would indeed seem logical. If the assailant were unaware, how would he or she have known to lace the end of the gas pipe with poison? So now we must ask, how could anyone have known of Mr. Shamsby's murderous designs? You mean to suggest? Naturally, the sole possible answer to that question couldn't be more obvious. Only the man whose life was being threatened could possibly have known. What? In other words, the person who put the poison on the gas pipe in what was a clear retaliatory act can only have been the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Whatever Mr. William Shamsby may or may not have contrived to do, he was nevertheless the victim of a potentially lethal poison attack. And the only person who could possibly have perpetrated that attack is the accused, Mr. Natsume. The defense counsel's theorizing has failed to avert suspicion from the accused. Far from it. In fact, now that a clear motive for the poisoning has been successfully established, that suspicion is greater than ever. Would you not agree, my Nipponese friend? Didn't manage to turn that around on me so rapidly. Naruhodo, you must respond. Otherwise, members of the jury may very well change their leanings against us again. And this may be our last chance to gain the advantage. What advantage? Well, it would seem that somebody put poison on the gas pipe in Mr. Shamsby's room. Can we prove who that was, though? So we must name that person and absolve Mr. Natsume of guilt. Okay. Who could possibly... Can we even name anybody? I mean, name the true culprit? I know it might sound impossible, but if we fail to do that, I have no doubt that Mr. Nutsmith's fate will be sealed once and for all. As it happens, one possible culprit does come to mind. The evidence, the poison, it's all pointing to a particular person now. The prosecution calls for the jury to consider their leanings again. I trust you'll make the correct choice this time, Mr. Foreman. What? Don't you worry, we know exactly what. There's one other person who I believe could have been involved in all this. The true culprit of this crime. The true culprit! A term found only in second-rate novels featuring third-rate great detectives. My Nipponese friend. Or why not? This farce has gone on for so long already, I see no reason to cut it short before its disappointing climax. Thank you. Tell us, my learned Nipponese friend, what is your latest theory? Who is the so-called true culprit of this crime? Well, we're trying to defend him. It wouldn't have. He was outside, he didn't come in. He's dead. I don't know how we can prove she was there, but there are two things. One, yeah, we've seen her with poison recently. And two, she was holding a green envelope that matched something we found in Shamsby's room.
Take that!
Victim of one crime and perpetrator another? The name of the person responsible for the poison that afflicted Mr. Shamsby is, I believe, Miss Olive Green. Miss Olive Green! Miss Olive Green. I do feel as though I've heard that name in the recent past, Council, but I don't recall where. Miss Olive Green. The woman from 6 days ago. The victim in the recent case of stabbing on Briar Road. An incident for which Mr. Natsume was arrested, I hasten to add. Of course, yes! Miss Green! She was left comatose for some 3 days, I believe. And I hear she regained consciousness 2 days ago. I hardly need remind the court that Mr. Shamsby's poisoning took place 3 days ago. Given that the woman was lying comatose in a hospital bed at the time, she appears to have a rather fine alibi. True, on the night that the incident occurred, Miss Green was in the hospital, unconscious. So on the face of it, it would seem that she couldn't possibly be responsible. Still. My colleagues and I investigated Miss Green in hospital yesterday. We found her to be in possession of a bottle of poison. Good gracious! She had poison! There is another fact that leads Miss Green to this case as well. The defense requests that she be brought to the witness stand in order to explain the details to the court. Tell me, Mr. Shamsby. Oh Lord, pray, what be thy bidding? Are you acquainted with Miss Green? Oh yeah, we also saw them talking with each other, and she did say something along the lines of, I wish you died by their poison. Seems like her plan didn't work, perhaps? No, never heard of her! Sure. Judging by the look on Mr. Shamsby's face, I think perhaps he genuinely doesn't know her. At least, not by name. Oh. It's the voice of Her Majesty's prosecution here. I adhere to my word. We will see my learned Nipponese friend's farce through to its conclusion. I appreciate that. The prosecution requests a short recess, my lord, in order to subpoena the witness and bring her here. Yes, Miss Olive Green. Indeed, my lord. 1 hour should be sufficient. Very well. I grant the request. Excellent. I hope. The defense has made a most extraordinary accusation, I must say. But at the present time, I feel the prosecution's argument remains largely uncontested. Accordingly, I'm afraid the defendant and his culpability remain the sole subject of this court's attention. Thank you, counsels. We reconvene in 1 hour. Court is adjourned.